Okay, for 4 hour chart, we are definitely seeing that it's heading up. I'm seeing that it has hit an area right in the 6,600 range here that it is finding as support. It doesn't really want to drop too much below that. The MACD is also very low and looks like it's tipping up. So I think that we are in for a rise. This is a nice recovery area. Okay, the 1 hour chart, we can see the MACD is very low again, and the MACD is crossed. We've got some nice, great big candles that have actually broken through the resistance levels here. Now, just to play the devil's advocate here, we've also seen this once before, but this was the first time that it happened, that it had that great big drop, and then it recovered. So, it has happened before. It's possible that it will just level out and maybe even drop, but I don't think so. I think it's already tested those levels and is inclined to go up, just because the longer term time frame is showing that it's still uptrending. All right, if I put a long order in right here, and it looks like it's sitting at a resistance level here, but if I got in right here, if it broke through that, and it went up to the next SMA here, this is the 30-minute chart. We're looking at like over $1,000 trade and a $900 stop. So this is why I don't trade on the longer time frames, because that's just too big of a dollar amount both ways. That's ridiculous. So we'll zoom in and see about a better place to put everything and a place to get in. All right, this is what it looks like. Again, it's not a bad spot. If it were a smaller dollar amount, I think this would be a decent trade right through here. The only things that give me concern here, the MACD is really starting to look like it's starting to tip and maybe drop, and the RSI as well is pretty high. So that's not good. The 5-minute chart too, I was kind of surprised. The more I zoomed in, the more I was starting to see that it was kind of counter trend here. It's looking like it's losing momentum. So I really think, it could go either way here. We have definitely broken through right through here. We've broken through that resistance level, and it's got a lot of upward momentum, a lot of areas of excitement here. You can see a consolidation right through here, and it broke through that, and it's heading up. And you can also see the level over here is almost where we are, not quite. And I think I made an adjustment on this SMA, this 4-hour SMA, a little bit later on. But there's a lot of area that it could definitely get to. All right, this is the 1-minute chart. Here's that consolidation period I was talking about. And it looks like we're kind of at a low here and maybe ready to go up. However, the MACD is tipping down. So I still haven't gotten into this trade yet. I have kind of adjusted, trying to figure out where exactly would be the ideal get in place and where would a good stop be, and the profit area here. So I think this is all pretty decent setup if it's going up. All right. It ended up going up a few ticks and almost hitting that point again. Let me go back one more. Yeah, so it actually went up and kind of petered out a little bit there. So I'm still waiting for it to drop down so I can get into a better place. And if it does go above that, I want to know. So I set an alert here, which is the dark dotted lines, the black ones, and an alert here and an alert at this SMA. And so I went back to my charts to write down all the information that I just went over, and I could keep an eye on it. So anyway, I came back and this was what happened. The alert got triggered that it went up. So it's like, okay, maybe it's going to find this upper line as a support. So if I get in here, this is where I would put my stop, and I can only make about $900 a day, so this is where I would have to get out, and that's pretty conservative, honestly. That doesn't look that bad. All right, but I couldn't wait. I saw another green candle and decided to jump in, and kind of knew that this was not the best trade. I need to be more patient, but I've also seen it like zip up and hit that SMA so quickly once it breaks through, the previous highs. So, I thought, well, there's a possibility, as uptrending as it is, it's a possibility that it will jump up there and do that. But just to be on the safe side, I put a pretty tight stop right here. It's just less than $100. So I thought, well, I think it's worth it. And I got stopped out. So not terribly surprised, actually, because I kind of jumped in a little too soon. I didn't wait for a good opportunity. And that's just one of those things. All right. So then it had a nice drop. It actually went through that resistance level. So I am now in a pretty decent place, much better than the last one for going long. So I'm in a position here. My stop is down here way far. That's going to change. And I think this is where I had originally set it. Okay, here we go. Set my stop up quite a bit tighter. And it's just under these candles right through here, but yet that is $150, almost $200 loss if that triggers. I still think it's worth it. This looks like a really good setup, and the 1 minute chart is starting to turn a little bit here. So I think we're going to be fine. And I went out to the 4-hour chart, and you can see this blue line right through here. I adjusted the price line, and you can see my exit order is just below it now. So that actually dropped down a bit, which is good. I still think we're going to be all right. Just to be on the safe side, I took all the risk off the table and put my stop at break even. And it started to go up. Very excited. And when it kind of hesitated there, I decided, this is a pretty good sized trade right through here. It's over $200. I really don't want to lose that. So I raised up my stop pretty tight here. More than likely I'll get stopped up, but I locked in a couple hundred. I'm happy with that. And of course got stopped out. So I'm very happy with that. Happy with the profit. Because the likelihood of it getting all the way up here in one big move is a little bit less than I would like to see. So, all right. Took a nice dip, so I was glad I got out. And it started to go up again. And I got into a long. And again, pretty tight stop. Just because I don't want to put a whole lot into the idea that it's going to continue this uptrend, because there is the possibility that it's going to lose steam and start to drop. I'm kind of keeping that in the back of my mind. All right, the limit order is right at the peak here, and that would be a really good trade. So, got stopped out again. So I kind of ended up at this point right where I started off. I've made some, I've lost some, I've made some, I've lost some. I just haven't gained any ground. I haven't made any really good trades that actually were super profitable that I was able to keep. I keep losing them again. So keep trying. All right, went out to the 15-minute chart just to check everything, and I'm really seeing a fair amount of evidence that, yeah, I think we're losing steam. I think it may take a little bit of a drop. And especially when you go to the 5-minute, you can see just, one of the things that I'm looking at here, you can see the peak here, and then the peak here, and then this peak here is closer to that one than this one is to that one. So we're kind of losing that momentum. You can see that more clearly, I guess, on the RSI. It's pretty flat right through here, even though it has gone up a bit. And of course, the MACD is like really, really tipping over very high. So there's a fair amount of movement possible right through here for it to drop. And so I changed my mind about getting into longs. I don't think it's going to get up to this point without a big drop coming first. So I am in a short position here. I actually jumped in at this point on the 5-minute chart, which was kind of a mistake because I need to be able to look at the 1-minute chart to figure out where to put my stops properly. And I got stopped out. So if you go back here, I can't see where my stop is. Let's see, I think it's at 67. So that was a pretty painful loss, actually. I think that was like a $200 loss. So that put me down here below the 152,000, which is kind of what I'm watching. I don't want to drop below that. Don't want to have a big loss. I think I started off the day at 152 and 130. So, yeah, I want to be careful. All right, this is about a $200 loss for the day so far. So that's about my max. All right, so it went up again and it peaked out at the same place here. And when it started to turn, I decided, I think it's worth it. I really think I can get in here and have a really tight stop and still be okay. So I jumped into a short. You can see I jumped in here. My stop is only at even less than $50. So I'm really happy with that, and it's starting to drop already. Okay, it hesitated at this SMA, and I really, really do not want to lose any money on this. So I lowered that stop like within one tick of where it is right now. And that would be, basically nothing, but maybe $25. And it didn't trigger it. I was so excited. It kept dropping. So I thought, okay, we'll be fine. So as it dropped, I locked in that profit. Here I'm sitting at a $262 profit. So I've gained some and a little bit for the day. So I'm very happy with that. I'm hoping that it will drop down to here. And I got out at a good profit. Very happy with that. All right, so kind of watching it. Still think there's evidence that it's going to be dropping. So this is where I would like to get in, but I haven't actually pulled the trigger yet. This is the 5-minute chart. All right, so this is where I'd like to get in, and this is where my stop is. And I've actually placed the order, so as soon as it heads up there, it's going to trigger that and fill. This is a $200 loss, so that would be back to where I started from, but I think this is a good trade. I really think so. This is in a good place, and you can see that stop is placed just like a tick above the last peak, so I think I'll be all right. Okay, went up and filled me, so now I'm in a short. You can see the SMAs are looking very promising, but they haven't actually crossed yet, so it's a little bit iffy. And I got a little bit worried right through here and decided this is a little bit too close for comfort, because I really haven't changed my mind about it dropping. I thought putting a little bit more risk on the table was actually the better thing to do here. So I raised up my stop to the previous peak, which would be about a $300 loss. That's huge, especially since I haven't really gained anything today. And it petered out at the last peak here. So I would have been fine leaving my stop in place. That was a relief. And then it started to drop. So then I locked in some profit there, and it started to drop some more. And originally, if you remember right, I had my order down here, and it was gonna be like $600. I thought, man, I don't know if it's really gonna get down that far. I think it might possibly bounce at this alert right through here, which is basically the last bottoms that it formed here. So I decided to be a little bit more conservative and raise that limit up to that point and get out at that point instead. And just to be on the safe side, I also lowered my stop. So I have like a $100 area here. It could hit in any point. So we'll see. And it took my limit. So I actually did really well on that trade and ended up at 315 for the day, basically just that last trade. So that was phenomenal. I was very happy with that. So anyway, and with all things considered, I think that I'm going to stop now. So, and it's only 8:54. I'm very happy with that. I've only got like $540 more to go, and I will have passed my eval after 10 tries. I started in May, so this has been a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Got to be real careful so that I don't blow it.